Imagine that you are in a forest. It's nighttime now and thousands of stars light up the sky. But that's not the light you're looking at. No, you're looking over a cliff at hundreds of bonfires and the people who crowd around them. All of these bonfires light up your face. You see the people around the bonfires, many of which you know, all living their lives and celebrating. And while you feel happy for them, there is a distance there. You love all of these people and what you have done with them, but it's not exactly what you want. You dream of doing other things with your life, gaining new experiences, meeting new people, becoming a new person. But this group needs you to be who you are now if they are ever going to survive. What I just described is one of my favorite scenes in one of my favorite manga of all time, Berserk. This scene is known as the Bonfire of Dreams, where our main character Guts has a crisis and a decision to make. Does he stay with his mercenary group, the Band of the Hawk, and continue their path to glory in making the leader of the band, Griffith's dream of becoming a king, come true? Or does Guts leave the Band of the Hawk and follow his own dream? This scene, and many others in Berserk, is what makes Berserk such a memorable story and why it's such a household name within the anime and manga community. Berserk is special for many reasons. The very epic and beautifully told story, the incredibly realistic and captivating characters, the insanely meticulous and detailed artwork. All of these things are what grab readers and get them on their journey to read Berserk. But I want to talk about something deeper. I want to talk about why this over 30-year-old story has kept the attention of so many people around the world. I want to talk about how this story has led to an impact that shook the world and has inspired so many people to keep moving forward and to do what they do today. I want to talk about why Berserk is incredible. But first, I have to talk about why I'm making this video in the first place. Unfortunately, in May of this year, the legendary creator of Berserk, Kentaro Miura, passed away. It is an understatement to say how much this shook the anime and manga community. But not only them, but the entire creative industry as a whole. Berserk meant so much to a lot of people, and Miura's tragic and heartbreaking death just reminded us of that. Berserk was a cultural phenomenon and has inspired the work of so many people in the animation, video game, and writing sphere. From Software and Miyazaki Hidetaka owe a whole lot to Berserk and Miura. What I want to do is explore what makes Berserk, Berserk. I want to show you why so many people were enraptured by this man's work for over 30 years. But first, what is Berserk even about? Berserk, without giving too much away, is about a man named Guts and his story of struggle and survival from being picked up as a baby by a group of mercenaries and seeing battle and bloodshed from a very young age, to being a teenager and being very standoffish and callous to other people, to actually joining a group of people that care for him and lead him in a better direction. But as I said, Guts' story is one of struggle, pain, and death. Guts' story leads him into life or death battle many times, fighting and killing his way just so he can live another day. But Guts' struggles are not only external, but internal as well, as he deals with past and present trauma and not knowing his place in the world. Guts also meets many people in his journey of self-discovery, and a major point of change in Guts' life is when he joins the Band of the Hawk. The Band of the Hawk is led by the incredibly charismatic and beautiful Griffith. There's also the captain of the band named Casca, a fierce warrior with a strong attachment to Griffith. These two people and the other soldiers in the Band of the Hawk changes Guts' life forever, for better and for worse. Let's change focus to another important character in Berserk, Casca. Casca has been part of the Band of the Hawk since she was young, having been saved by Griffith from being sold into slavery, and ever since that day, she saw him as her savior, as an almost godlike figure whose word is law. Her attachment to Griffith leads her to have animosity for Guts, since he has become the object of Griffith's attention. But she slowly warms up to Guts and relies on him more and more throughout the story. Casca is a headstrong warrior who has the best interests of her team at heart. but always puts Griffith before herself. Griffith is the opulent leader of the Band of the Hawk, who leads them from being a wandering mercenary group to being a high-ranking soldier squadron to the King of Midland, the kingdom that they reside in. Griffith's main motivation in doing everything that he does is his dream of being a king. Ever since he was a child, he saw the castle at the top of the hill in his town and always wanted to reach that castle. But in his journey with the Band of the Hawk, and with his relationship with Guts, Griffith realizes that he must make sacrifices in order to achieve his goal. Griffith is a very cunning and opportunistic person who will do very questionable and morally gray actions to achieve his ultimate goal of being king. All three of these characters attribute to the various themes that are spread throughout Berserk. Today, we're only going to be focusing on three of these themes. There are many, many more that are found within the story, but we're just going to be focusing on three today. The first one being healing connections with others. What I mean by healing connections is that through the connections that you make with people, that changes your perception on life and the perception of yourself, which is exactly what Guts goes through in Berserk. By the time Guts is forced to leave the mercenary group that he grew up with at such a young age, he already has so much baggage and trauma from being betrayed by his mentor Gambino and almost being killed by him. Ever since then, Guts has had a chip on his shoulder and became a loner, not trusting anybody but himself and his sword. But that mentality that Guts has slowly starts to change when he joins the Band of the Hawk. As Guts grows to care for the people that are in the band, his guard lowers, and he is not so callous and angry anymore. Guts is no longer alone. His relationship with Griffith and Casca would really draws Guts out of his shell. Guts fighting for Griffith's golden dream of being a king, and even though at the start Guts and Casca's relationship was a bit rocky, with them constantly butting heads, they grow closer to one another as the series goes on, where they have a strong respect and even love for each other. But as things were going so well for the Band of the Hawk, that happiness could not last for long. What goes up must come down. Without spoiling what happens during the eclipse, let's just say that the event took everything from the Band of the Hawk and took everything away from Guts by the hand of someone they all once loved. And just like that, Guts is alone again, and that chip on his shoulder comes back with a fierce vengeance. Guts becomes even more callous and cold than he ever was before, and for good reason. He starts to doubt whether there was any good found in this world, and if there was, it would eventually be taken away from you. But this, once again, doesn't last forever. Guts slowly finds a new group of friends that he can rely on, and that can rely on him. Their relationships didn't always start off the best, especially with characters like Fernis and Isidoro. Another character, Shirke, actively helps Guts fight his demons, both internally and externally. As Guts spends more time with these people that seem to have just fallen into his lap, he begins to see that having connections with people makes you a better person, and makes you want to protect those relationships at all costs. Guts is a very complicated man with his own trials and tribulations, but he now knows that he doesn't have to do it alone. Another important theme in Berserk is fate or causality, the idea that everything is predetermined by some invisible hand of God. Causality meaning the idea of cause and effect over time. Every effect has a cause, and these ideas are explored in Berserk throughout its entire run. Many of the characters in Berserk are caught in the wheels of causality and fate. For example, Griffith is caught in the wheel of causality when he is given the Crimson Bayelet by an old fortune teller who tells Griffith that he is fated to be a great conqueror and king. This cause leads to the entire journey in creating the Band of the Hawk. And this cause leads him to meet Guts and take him in. And this cause leads to the eclipse. The theme of fate is brought up many times in Berserk. Griffith is tied to the fate of being a king and getting to the castle on the hill that he always wanted when he was a child. Character Nosferatu Zod tells Guts of the fate that awaits the Band of the Hawk if they continue to follow Griffith. Guts and many of his comrades in the Band of the Hawk are fated to die by the brand that they receive from the God Hand, the godlike beings that have control over the world of Berserk, and is often the Hand of Fate that I spoke about earlier. While fate is a strong theme in Berserk, one of its strongest themes is the struggle against fate. and to fight back against even God themselves. The struggle against fate and persevering through impossible odds is one of Berserk's most prominent themes, and no character personifies that theme more than Guts. Guts' whole life has been a fight against the odds and fate. He was born to a dead mother who was hung from a tree, who was said to be fated to die because of this. But he survived fighting battle after battle, with the mercenary group that raised him, to his battles with the Band of the Hawk, to surviving the eclipse and persevering past the eclipse with the brand on his neck that marks him as a sacrifice to the gods of this world, the God Hand. Guts fights back against it all. His determination to fight against the hand of fate that sentenced him to death and surviving every time is a testament to the sheer willpower that Guts has to fight against the odds. But he doesn't always do it alone. Many people throughout Guts' life help him against these trials against fate and lead him to be a better person. One such figure is the Skull Knight, a mysterious skeleton figure that helps Guts fight against causality. One such example is getting Guts and Casca out of the eclipse, where they were both fated to die. Guts' fight against fate is an everlasting one. He is the one character to even fight against God and still come out standing and alive. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you've never seen or read Berserk, will you give it a chance after seeing this? Hopefully going through the story and some of the themes will get you interested. If you'd like to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe. I have a lot more videos coming, and they're going to be about a lot of different things. Lots of different ideas that I got. Hopefully you stay around for them. Tune in next time for something completely different. See you then.